Welcome back to Coast Files, your podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantel.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Megan.
Beautiful.
Almost Halloween.
Almost
Yes.
there.
Almost. We are so close.
We are in the thick of spooky season. Yes.
Lindsay really needs to open up her drink. So
I know. I was waiting.
Let's hear that ASMR. Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Damn. That are really good.
Trying to do nice and slow.
Oh, that's how I like it, girl.
Yes, I'm gonna have a nice little margarita from Cayman Jack.
Surprise, surprise. Lindsay likes margaritas.
Surprise.
I know. I also love palomas. I love tequila-based cocktails.
Which is like what I was saying earlier. When you're a young, I was going to say a young child, don't drink when you're a kid. When you're a young person drinking for the first time, it's all about those like tequila shots or sugary drinks. And then personally, I was turned off of tequila big time. And then in my adulthood, I'm like, ooh, but a margarita, but a paloma. They're just, maybe because they're not as sweet. They're just, I gravitate towards those.
I think when we were younger too, when we went out, we didn't have these options. Like there was not like a margarita on the,
I would have been mortified.
No, we were going to the Dome for dollar drink night.
Right.
Like it was
we
real.
have 12 shots and then you could mix one thing with them. So
yeah,
there's a different time.
Por example, rum and Coke.
Yes, but at least now we're able to afford the better rum. And
so you are going with rum. Why did I not realize that?
Only because it was so close. My little mini bar cart is literally within arm's reach.
Proximity.
Dangerous.
So,
well, we know what happened last time we drank rum. It was.
I'm only having one this time, and also I don't want him to think that I'm an alcoholic. I truly rarely drink, and because of the podcast, I drink more on Friday, and that's
This is actually the only time of the week that I drink. It is.
I know
now, and it's the only. I'm not even gonna drink after this, so I enjoy it.
No, me neither.
There you go. Yes, Lindsay's having her Friday night margaritas, and then nothing until
it should be a midnight one, but.
I know. You'll have that too probably. You'll come home and you'll be like, I gotta do
How many times per season should you watch Practical Magic? Like once doesn't seem like enough. Should I watch it like once in September, once in October? Is that too much?
I mean, the only problem is that I don't like watching movies that closely together. Like it's kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas, where at least you can watch it over Christmas and you can watch it over Halloween.
I know. I actually consider Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie for me personally. That's my to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I also have so many movies in the lineup that watching a movie twice, to your point, Chantel, just might not be like there's so many to watch. But you definitely should watch it.
No, I'm going to. I think I'm going to save it for like early October because it's not like Halloween, but like it's the vibe of it.
I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. Murder.
Once the first leaf falls, you must play it.
I saw some trees that were transitioning on my walk today.
Oh, and I was they've been going for a while now.
But there's a couple on my little trail that I go on that are just very, very vibrant, and so those are like starting to full on change. So it's just like
the ones like around here are just like we're dead and we're falling off already, not like going through the change.
Which still like a cool Halloween energy.
Well, it's because green only right now. It hasn't hit yet.
So I'm gonna do a little arborist for you here. So
okay,
my useless knowledge that I have.
Yes,
so if
love it.
Trees actually do not change based on seasons. It is based on the amount of sunlight that they get, which is why even if it's still warm, you'll still see the change of the trees. And actually, it's also the amount of water that they can get to. So I think it's trees that are closer to a water base because their roots will get colder quicker. They will start to change earlier as well.
Okay, it just really coincides with seasons. So yeah.
I should.
Yeah, I mean like ones that are like literally like because like where my mom lives, sometimes we'll be driving along and you'll see like this random bright red tree in the middle of the highway, and it's because it's literally in a little pond or lake of water. Like the tree is in it halfway, so the roots get so cold from being in the water that they churn quicker.
Tree facts.
Really cool. I did not know that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I got all this, a lot of my useless information comes from me randomly looking up things, and the fact that my mom knows everything about trees and birds for some reason.
It's also not useless.
My
it may
mom
not be pertinent, but it's not useless. It's very
fair.
It's very useful.
My mom also has a lot of tree books and bird books and stuff like that. It must be a mom.
It's like a mom thing.
Or they're like generation. Like my grandfather had binoculars for watching birds.
See, my mom has binoculars for watching birds too. And she used
my
to
mom
like,
has
bird
my
watching
grandfather's
with like a well-known bird watcher. And I assume soon, like honestly, probably for my next birthday, you guys might as well just get me binoculars, get me some bird books.
It's all over.
Trees.
We should Google that. When is the birthday where we all start to watch birds? It must be coming up.
I don't know about you, but when I'm outside, I'll hear a little tune. I'm like, that's a blue jay.
Wait.
And that's a cardinal. That's a cardinal.
The first symptoms.
It's already starting.
It's starting.
The hair in the back of your neck stands up a little bit. You're like, it's starting.
And you're like, I really want to get like a smart fob, and I just want to start collecting coupons.
I just want to ask for the manager.
Hey, coupons are handy.
See, Lindsay, it's already starting with you too. Kids just like accelerate the process.
Okay, so I use them at Walgreens because they have an app. It's just too easy. Like, come on.
Sorry, same thing with Michael's.
Michael's
also has
so
an
it's
app.
still
Is Big Walgreens paying you to say this? Are you on Walgreens payroll?
No,
just download their app in 2 easy steps.
They just, if you do use their app though, you can like literally save like half your order sometimes. Like or get 50% off sometimes. It really is good for clipping all the coupons.
Do you have a code, Lindsay, for our listeners?
If you get one, I will let you know. Okay, I will.
Just put it in Co-Spouse Pod.
One day, you guys. For now, there's nothing for free.
There's nothing. Sorry. Just give us money by going to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.
Or coffee.
Oh, yeah. I can never call it the right thing.
Yeah. Say coffee, but type in Ko-fi. Ko-fi.
That's a good marketing.
/ Coast Files. If you would like to buy us a coffee.
Which we would
love coffee over here.
Yeah, we do.
We could also buy margaritas with it. Who knows?
Oh, yes.
We'll probably
depends on the time of day.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm going to get us started today. Yes. I think I changed my idea for topics like 10 times. So I'm not even sure that you guys knew what I was doing, but
no.
I knew that you were
toying with another idea. Yes. Yeah. I just felt like I wanted to go with something a little bit more Halloween-y. So we are going to discover some haunted dive sites today.
That's going to be a cool topic.
So, the girls have a photo here. The first one there is the actual dive site. So this is the RMS Roan, which is just off.
I am listening. It's like 30 degrees in my apartment and I'm literally sweating. So
yeah, it's not actually October here. Megan's dying.
My hair is orange. Isn't that cool? Okay, now it's going to go up because I just can't do it.
So this one is located off of the British Virgin Islands, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of background into what this ship was and what happened to it. So the RMS Roan was just that, a Royal Mail ship, and it was built in 1865, and it was 94 meters, so it's 318 feet long. And for reference, that is almost as long as a football field. So
that's
pretty of an American football field, to be clear.
I was waiting for how many shacks it was. Maybe we're done with that.
American
football. Yes, American football. It was also the fastest in the fleet at the time because it would clock in at about 14 knots. And this is like a steamship, right? So it was known to carry mail passengers up to 313 passengers.
As in men?
Passengers.
No, but like you said, male passengers.
Oh.
Sorry. This rum's really strong. I want some water.
So that's not including the crew. So obviously a lot more people could be on it. It would also carry cargo and different animals, primarily horses at the time. So during its first 2 years of service, it had survived quite a few fierce storms, and it got the nickname of Unsinkable.
Oh, never good.
I was gonna say Stormbreaker. I'm like, that's from Marvel.
No, not that. Which as we have learned, that is never a good thing to be.
Yeah, called. Just abort. Do not go on the ship.
And just really, really, really quick. Maybe we'll do a little like micro thing about this later. But Titanic Part 2.
Oh yeah, that thing that I sent you guys. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like so. So Chantal, you can speak more to this, but I guess another rich billionaire who was like, I'm so bored. What am I to do is going to build Titanic 2. And in the article, it didn't say unsinkable, but like we all know that he's going to be like unsinkable. Oh, can number
nice.
2.
Can number 2, yeah. Thank you.
Just you couldn't pay me to go on Titanic 2. Just
no.
I mean,
and
maybe you could.
Lindsay.
Well, okay.
Just
the
saying,
thing is I would want to walk on it. I'd want to go.
It depends
through it.
where
I
it's
wanna take a
going,
tour
what's
of it.
happening.
Is it going into iceberg territory again, or are we like?
Yeah. Is it June? Is it just doing a little, sail around the harbor? I don't.
Yeah.
What the situation is.
You know what? I actually looked up. We were looking up the cost of a ticket back then for a first class seat, which was $500, and that now would be
a lot.
10,000.
Damn, they are rich.
Yeah, like these people were rich that were on the first class of the Titanic.
Oh yeah, that's why they were such a big deal, because they were so like prominent in society that people cared.
That hasn't changed, clearly.
Right. Nothing has changed.
So back to the RMS Rhone. With this, it obviously didn't hold true to its name for very long. So
because the picture would tell you otherwise.
Yeah. What year was this, by the way? I don't know.
So it was built in 1865, and now we are about to go to October 1867. So 2 years.
October? Wait. So it was only doing its job for 2 years?
Yeah. So she was traveling to Brazil. And on the 19th of October, Captain Woolley stopped in the Great Harbor for recoaling at Peter Island. And this was not the typical recoaling station because the Danish island St. Thomas was currently quarantined due to yellow fever outbreak, they had to go to this other island.
Oh, which is the island that Eric's, my mother-in-law is from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been there.
So, so they unfortunately had yellow fever. So while there, it was noted that the barometric pressure was dropping, and this was indicating that a storm was coming along the way. So they were not expecting this because even though it was October, but at the time they were supposed to be out of hurricane season. So it was later determined that the storm was actually a Category 3 hurricane, and it was named San Narciso. So the first half of the storm passed and not much incident occurred because they were at the port at the time. But the captain of another ship there, the RMS Conway, it was also recoaling, and the captain spoke to the Captain Woolley, and they discussed the possibility of transferring the passengers over. And it was decided that given the reputation of unsinkable, that the passengers on the Conway would move onto the Rhone and continue on with safe passage. And then the Conway went away with just its crew on board.
And they lived happily ever after.
No, they died. Actually,
shit.
The Conway actually also sank. So,
you tried, Megan.
I was like silver lining, but no.
So they also had the bright idea at this time to strap all the passengers to their bunks because they wanted to make sure that if it was going to be uncertain waters and very treacherous, that they would be safe and sound in their bunks,
like a seatbelt,
and not get hit by anything. Exactly, like a lying down seatbelt that they can't undo, I guess. Anyways, so
sounds good. Sounds this is all checking out.
Sounds fine. They also had.
This reminds me.
Yeah,
it reminds me of like for kids changing tables.
Those belts that they have.
They have the straps. I can tell you this. I don't know if any parents ever use them, but they do not. No kid wants to be strapped to a table like that. It does not work. I've never successfully strapped my child.
I can understand it if you like have to step away from the table for a minute,
but it says you're not allowed to step away from the table. It says
I know, but it's like literally the only reason why I could see you needing to strap down your child during that.
Right. Obviously, they're saying some people might step away. We don't want you to.
I always thought that the rule was
we're going to put the safety
on the child at all times. Like if you have to turn away, one hand on the child, turn, do your thing. If you need to leave, it sucks, but you're like picking that.
Didn't we like all learn that from Friends because she was talking about how she was going to bring the diapers out to the trash when Rachel was pregnant?
I can't even remember. Anyways. I just think I think it's been out in the world enough that that's just like a thing. Like you know.
Yes.
Well, I made that mistake when Mike Grayson was a newborn. I went to the bathroom in the restaurant and I didn't bring enough stuff for the blowout that had happened. But so I just waited. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have my phone. I don't have enough stuff. Eventually, someone will know that I'm missing. And like 5 minutes later, someone came in from Eric's family, and they
and you're
helped me
like,
out.
help me.
Like, someone will come looking for me. Yeah, they were probably like, new mom probably needs some help.
I definitely did. Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. Back to the story.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative. Baby blowouts and sunken ships. So.
Yeah, it all makes sense. So they also, before they left, they had to cut loose their anchor, and that was because during the first leg of the storm, it was dragged and had become stuck around some coral reef, and they had no way of actually bringing it back up. And the anchor can still be found at the Great Harbor. It's another diving site that they have there.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There was also something that I read somewhere that sometimes if a ship is in a storm, they will drag their anchor behind them purposefully to help them like stay on certain course.
I know that from below deck.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So I didn't know that. So that was another kind of key factor here as well, that they didn't have that when they were going into the storm. So,
okay.
Yes. So
for success.
Yes. So while they were still in the eye of the storm, Captain Willie made his intentions to go towards Salt Island to give the ship more sea room. Apparently, that gives them more shelter somehow, and I don't really understand how that worked, and I didn't bother looking into it further, but that's what he needed to do.
Going past it.
So eventually the storm caught back up with them when they were just 230 meters from safety. So they were pretty close, and a giant wave struck them and knocked Captain Woolley off, and he was never seen again.
What?
Yes.
Oh my. So just out of nowhere, was it like a rogue wave maybe? Like it was out of nowhere?
It was like they just weren't expecting it. Was the storms just got there.
They thought they were close enough.
Yeah. So the winds.
It's like such a haunting like image to have.
Yeah. The winds through the strip. I can't talk today.
Jalapeno.
So this is going to go really well. The winds threw the ship into the rocks at Black Rock Point, and it greatly damaged the boiler room, and the cold seawater came in and hit the boilers, and an explosion occurred that tore the ship in two. So
Holy shit.
Insult to injury was happening to this. Given that most of the passengers were tied to the beds, they were unable to.
They all made it.
And they died.
Yeah, good thing they're safely strapped to their bed.
And like, I just don't understand. They couldn't get it undone either. It seems like it was like, did they do their shoulders and their hands? Was this insane asylum like type way?
I'm thinking that if this is in 1867, it was probably like the same rope that they would have used on deck. So it's probably really, really rough. People are like, don't worry, I'll keep you safe. Let me just tie you under your bunk in 3 spots, like shoulders, stomach, legs.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like literally insane asylum style.
Even if your arms can get out from like that middle rope, how are you supposed to do the rest?
Velcro would have been good. And I just looked it up. It wasn't invented until 1955.
Well, goddamn.
I think Velcro would have been a good.
Close. Wow.
Get out.
Velcro's new.
Yeah.
Velcro's really new. Okay.
Yeah.
So only 23 of the 145 on board survived this.
Whoa. Oh.
So it can now be found at the bottom of the ocean just off the coast of Salt Island. And in 1950, the Royal Navy actually had to blow up part of it because of the way that the stern was. It was upright and partly sticking out of the water.
That's spooky.
And so it was a major threat to other ships and boats trying to navigate the area. So as of 1967, though, the site was made into a marine national park. And the ship is actually one of the better preserved wooden shipwrecks. So the stern is about 35 feet deep, while the bow is 85 feet deep. And the two halves of the ship are approximately 100 feet apart at a 90-degree angle to one another.
Oh.
The wreck is considered an EV dive. The wreck is considered an easy dive, but is also known to be haunted. So divers have reported feeling their shoulders being tugged, and when they turn around, no one is there or even close enough to have touched them. Others have heard screams and groans coming from the hull, and some have said that they have seen people frantically trying to swim to the top with no diving gear on, but as they approach them, they disappear.
Gave me chills just now.
Yeah. So it must have been really like a muffle. Like I don't know how well you can hear underwater, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys remember being a kid and you would like scream, so your brother or sister would like listen for you, and like it sounds horrible. Like, it sounds scary as shit.
It sounds
I
horrifying.
don't think I've ever screamed underwater, but
Oh,
Well,
really? Oh,
I feel like I
add
know
that to your bucket list on our next
I'm gonna
girls
try.
trip.
I'll scream underwater, and you guys go on the other end
see
of
if
the
we can
pool
locate
and-
you. We'll
Right.
blindfold ourselves and we'll be like, have to find Lindsay
Marco Polo
underwater.
underwater.
Except you scream.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So some do say that due to the flourishing amount of life that typically tends to be around sunken ships, that there could be many reasons why people see other people swimming and hear odd sounds or feel this like whooshing and things going past them. But many seasoned divers who visit the area say it is nothing like they have ever experienced before.
Okay.
That's creepy. I wonder why this. I mean, there's more than one story on your episode, I'm sure. But,
no, we're done. That's it.
And final things. But why like this wreck of all the wrecks?
I guess just because so many people probably went down with it because they were tied to the beds, right? A lot
I think
of people
it's a really, really scary way to go.
The fact that
there could be a lot of
like
energy there that's really traumatized.
Yeah.
I mean, I think diving to a sunken ship would be, in its own, it's a little bit spooky, right? Because people did die here. It is a grave site. So now you're adding the element of, people have seen things or heard things or experienced things.
Well, I was actually shocked at how many there was because I found this list, and I'm only going to talk about 3 today, but I found a list of the top 10. And that's not even like all of them that supposedly have some sort of paranormal activity linked to them in some way or another.
So this is the first of a series, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
The thing that I think makes most locations just feel creepy, and we talked about liminal spaces before, is when
that was brought up.
When a structure or a building is effectively like the opposite of what it should be. So like going to school at night, going to an office building at night, going to a mall that's been abandoned, like it shouldn't be. It should be full of life and colors and sounds. So going to a ship that should be floating underwater just makes it so much more
that's interesting.
Yeah, the liminal spaces was brought up in some of them because you can have these areas that are very like open, the way that the ships have like kind of broken down. And yeah, it's just,
I think the only thing that makes it slightly less creepy for me is seeing all the life around, all the little fish.
Yeah.
Because there's all death associated with the ship, but there's so much life on the ship and growing off the ship.
There's like full on massive plants like growing on this thing.
Yeah. And like I know that we brought it up before. It's kind of like that whale fall thing where it's like you have this death that's there, but there's so much life that's teeming from it that it's very cool to kind of see.
From death comes life.
Yes.
That's so profound, Lindsay.
I know. Thank you.
Never heard that before.
I'll be sending out autographs later.
Put that in a bumper sticker.
Put that in our autobiography.
Yeah, instead of like live, laugh, love, I'm going to have that on my wall.
I love put that one on my wall.
I think in the right, like it's something like dark, it could be perfect.
I mean, well, you know what? It's dark, but it kind of goes with that like that whole aesthetic of like dark academia, Victorian. Like,
well, it also reminds me of that thing that I've seen recently. It's ominous positivity. Like,
oh yeah, I think you sent me one where it was like. I forget.
Today will go well or else. Or it's like, today will go well. It's already been predetermined. You can't stop it or something like that.
I think I sent it to you and it was like, you're going to have a great day today. This is your warning. It's like, what does that mean?
That reminds me of the Christmas cards I sent you both one year with Santa. It was like, you better not cry.
Yeah.
Santa's coming. He's coming.
Yes. I think I still have that in my box somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, I need to have this.
I'm just so glad that we all get each other.
Yeah. My parents got a different Christmas card. You guys.
Oh, did they? Oh.
I know, surprise.
I feel like that's one that my mom would like, though. Like my mom would
my so I send my mom stuff and she goes, "You're sick," but she's like laughing when she says it. So she like
that's a reaction. I think my parents are like, "This is weird," but it's funny.
Sometimes I do get the Chantel. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, moms.
Yeah.
My mom used to give me like, she's like, "How do you watch like these true crime things while eating dinner?" I'm like, dinner is here, true crime is here, over on the street.
And I eat it while I listen.
Right. It's fine. Don't make it weird. So
you're the one making it weird, Mom.
I know.
Will it, Justin?
Yeah.
Okay, shall we get on to the next one then?
Uh-huh.
I will give you a forewarning. I have no idea how to actually say this ship's name, so I might say it like 10 different ways every time. Who knows? We're gonna see what's gonna happen here.
Okay,
Well,
I
if you say it
can't wait to hear it.
every possible way, then
I at
I'll
least
just
have to get it
essentially
right
edit it
once.
so that you
Perfect.
say it right every time.
Perfect.
Okay, so what is
So-
version 1? I'm excited to hear.
Yeah,
This
let's hear it.
is about the USCGC Comanche, I think. Comanche? Comanche.
Okay. All right, it should be a legal
Comanche,
name or ship
Comanche,
name that is
Comanche.
that hard.
Okay, so now the words
Just
lost
say.
all meaning. Can you spell that for me really quick?
Comanche. Comanche? I don't know if it's French. It should be
It's
C-O-M.
French.
What is it?
It's a
C-O-M?
French ass name. Comanche.
Comanche?
Kamash or yeah.
Comanche? Sure. We'll go with that. And someone will
Right, it's-
correct me later.
Oh, is it a First Nations?
I think so. That
Oh,
it
so
might
it's
be
not French.
actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really don't know, and I
Well,
apologize.
I when I look it up, it says a Native American tribe from the southern plains of the
Oh,
United States.
actually, I thought that was another one that I read about. That must be okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Kamash. So
Probably
it must
not
be
French
named
then.
after this tribe. I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
We'll never know.
Right. I mean, we
Let's
have a lot
go.
of places in Nova Scotia named after, like, from Mi'kmaq words and stuff like that, and we know how to say it because we live there.
So,
we lived. in Nova
according
Scotia,
to
lot of
howtopronounce.com, it's Comanche.
but Comanche. Okay.
Comanche.
I
So
was
we'll
gonna
go with that one.
Comanche that, but I wasn't sure.
There you go. Okay. So this
Okay.
ship is what's called a cruising cutter. So these ships were typically used in convoys to cut through ice, and they could break up ice as thick as 2 feet. And that's actually
Wow.
considered a light icebreaker.
Damn.
Yes. So this ship is pretty interesting and did do a lot throughout its life, but I'm gonna just focus on one really interesting part that happened. So it was used during World War II as an escorting convoy, and it left St. John's, Newfoundland on the 29th of January in 1943, heading for Greenland. On February 3rd.
That's a nice time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You said an ice time or a nice time?
It's
Ice time. No, it's probably not an ice time, but it's an
No.
ice time.
It's an
Yeah.
ice time.
Okay.
So during it's headed for Greenland. So on February 3rd, a German submarine fired 5 torpedoes at the convoy. The first hit
That's
the
a
ship
lot.
called the Dorchester on the starboard side, causing a large explosion at 1:02 a.m. Multiple blasts were heard, and lots of lights and whistles were going off while stations from the convoy became manned, because obviously it's in the middle of the
Scary.
night.
And it's
They're
in the
not,
middle of the
like,
night. Yeah, it's so dark.
Oh my
Like,
God.
you're hoping
Mhm.
that it might have a moonlit night, but
dark,
who knows?
freezing
Probably
cold
not.
waters.
Actually, you know what? You said this was in early February.
Yes.
She did.
So I think like November through that time of the year is just very overcasty. It's very foggy most times. So
yeah, it's probably
Mm.
pitch black.
yeah, that
dark.
is. Well, that's scarier. For you
Oof.
hear whistles and bells and
And-
oh my God.
Mhm. So
Yeah,
at
water's
1:12
cold.
a.m., the Comanche
Or however you say it.
began maneuvering to intercept and destroy enemy subs. And by this time, the lights had all gone out on the Dorchester, and it was believed to have been sunk.
Oh.
So the Comanche and the Escabana began a mission to try and recover any survivors. They arrived there at about 3:02 a.m., and the men were discovered floating and unresponsive in a slick of oil on the water.
Oh God.
So, and this is cold water, right? So
Right, you probably
a lot
wouldn't
of them died of
survive more than
hypothermia.
15 minutes or something. I forget how long.
Not very long.
It's not long.
And we're
I
talking,
mean, if Titanic's taught us anything, it's not long.
if
Right.
it's sunk at 1:12 and they're not getting there till 3, yeah, these
Yeah.
men didn't survive that were in the water. So
Yeah.
Oh.
There was
the
no
Comanche,
doors.
no. The Comanche was able to rescue 97 survivors.
Oh.
Lizzie took me right out of it because
I'm
I didn't see doors. I'm like, oh.
At
big
first, I
door.
was like, yeah, there's no doors. I was like, well, yeah, what she said.
We're just
I am not trying to
obsessed with
make
the
light of this.
Titanic. No, I know.
I really am, but yeah.
Lindsay's our quiet, funny one,
everything,
where
right.
she just like has things that she says that's just literally like hilarious and quiet in the background.
And maybe it's like every millennial woman, just Titanic has a chokehold on us. Like that is my Roman
If
Empire.
it's
Leo,
like one of my first, I know it really hit home. I was 9 or something, but it just stuck with
It still
me.
hurts me that
Yeah.
Leo and Kate Winslet aren't together in real life. Like
I
it
know they
still
should be
hurts me.
together. They should just figure it
Well,
out.
they are in the afterlife, so that's kind of nice.
No, I
I'm
mean,
saying
the
the
real life people.
actors.
Oh, I missed that part.
Like they're like besties, I think. But
Yeah,
Yeah, but Leo kind of
you
has like a
just-
thing with women. Like Kate can do
Listen,
better.
yeah, I just need him to get to his senses. That's all.
right. But he could
Yeah.
realize that a more mature woman is the way to go. And
He
Kate
wouldn't
Winslet
realize that
is
by now.
beautiful. Yeah, but he's a
Guys,
man.
let
Takes some
translate, yeah.
time.
And
Yeah,
also
they're
means
slow
that
learners.
we have the George Clooney where he was like bachelor, met
He settled
Amal,
down.
and yeah, with
Yeah.
a freaking strong ass, beautiful,
Right.
awesome woman.
I still
Right,
love that
she's-
intro for him getting
Yes,
that
Tina
award.
Fey.
Yeah.
Oh
And then she's
yeah.
like, and then
And
she's
we're
just like,
gonna
"So
give
her
an award to her
husband."
husband. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Now that's good comedy.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was good.
And he took it in stride too. So
He knows. He knows
Yeah.
he
Oh,
married up.
knows.
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
so that's how we get back to Titanic and the doors. Now I got
Yes.
it.
Okay,
Can't tell
sorry.
So
Sorry.
No,
they,
don't ever apologize.
so-
It's
yeah.
just made me laugh.
The Comanche was able to rescue 97 survivors because some had made it onto lifeboats, and the Escabano was able to rescue 132 survivors. But in total, 4 officers, 98 crewmen, and 558 passengers perished on the Dorchester.
Oh my God. I didn't
Yes.
realize there was that many passengers aboard this ship.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did
the
not
crew,
think
of
you were going to
course,
say
too.
that.
Yeah.
Holy
So
hell.
this mission was also one of notoriety because the four officers, they were U.S. Army chaplains. They actually died because they voluntarily gave their life jackets to other survivors on the Dorchester, and that sacrifice was later recognized by Congress. So
The
this
heroes.
yes,
Mhm.
this ship actually, the Comanche, had a very fruitful career. It did not sink. So it was used in many missions to save people, which may have given its kind of eerie atmosphere that was on
It's
it.
always at these like big tragedies.
Yeah. So eventually it was decommissioned in July of 1947. And in 1984, it was donated to the Patriots Point Development Museum. I got through it.
You okay?
I
How was that?
got
Was
through
that right?
that. She was badly damaged at one point during Hurricane Hugo because it was banging up against the USS Yorktown. So these boats there are kind of floating on the water and people can go through. It's a museum. This is where the paranormal activity began for the ship.
Really? After all those years?
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw the.
So
It's interesting.
visitors and staff have reported seeing shadowy figures on the Comanche. They were sometimes described as crew members in period uniforms quietly walking around the ship before disappearing. Faint murmurs and voices are heard coming from the lower decks when the ship was empty, thought to be sailors who once served aboard. When visitors would come aboard, sudden cold spots would be felt, mostly in the engine room and specific cabins. And some visitors would describe a heavy or oppressive feeling as though they were being watched, while others described a brush of cold air going past them, even in the warmest of weather.
Not gonna lie, I could use that right now. But everything else sounds scary as shit.
Yeah.
Megan's like, can there be a ghost in the room right now, please? I'd like the degrees to go down.
I'm guessing too this ship, because it picked up a lot of survivors. Some of them probably did perish on this ship after they picked them up. Like
Oh,
they
I
were,
wonder.
like not everyone. I mean, maybe they were close to death and they did die on the ship.
Well, and what's that thing that they talk about too about people, some ghosts and stuff continue to go through like their day to day. It's like they're
I
reliving
was
moments.
just thinking the same thing. Yeah. So it's not that they died on the ship, but it's that maybe they had a lot of like expelled
Connection to it.
energy. Yeah. So like, you know, if you have an older house and no one died in the house, but there was a woman who built the house, raised her family there, yada yada yada, and they have a big connection to that. That could be, and they're just like doing their day to day. There's a name for it. Christine and Em talk about it all the time. Is like stuck in like a repetitive, like a memory
Time
sort of.
loop sort of thing.
Something like that. And I mean that makes sense. If you're on the ship and the ship has been working for decades, and it's a
Right.
lot of intense,
It,
like if you're picking up survivors, like my God, just the
yeah.
emotional energy of that alone. So
Mhm.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
so I think about all the I mean, I'm guessing there was tons of families and stuff aboard, even these
Well, yeah,
ships that
because it could hold quite a few people, and like then it would bring on these people from saving, because like I said, it was used as a convoy. It was the icebreaker. So
right.
there was a lot of like other wars and things that it was used multiple times throughout the war. That was just like the most notable kind of experience that happened there.
Right.
So there
It's seen a
this
ton
wasn't the
of
first disaster.
things for sure. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So paranormal investigators,
You're having a
I
rough
am on
day.
fire today. You know what? My job requires me to just speak all day long. I think my tongue's
Yeah.
just tired. My tongue's like,
Yeah.
we're done. That's
Brain tired. Brain
brain,
wants sleep
brain
now.
don't do right. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? Paranormal investigators at the site reported small objects being moved on their own. Tools, paper, and even doors would shift and shut without explanation.
Creepy.
Mhm. So you can go to the next photo there. It is kind of like a map of sorts. In 1992, the ship was sunk to form the Comanche Reef, 12 miles out of Charleston. I swear to God, I know how to
It's
talk.
Uh,
Um, so
Oh,
you can
I see it. I
you can
see it.
see it on there. But this is really cool because this is a map of like all of these
It's a lot.
reefs that have happened, and these are all man-made ones. So
There's a
typically,
Hector Reef.
oh, we got to tell Hector.
oh, so wait, are these like all the wrecks that have happened?
They're all ones that
Sunk
were sunk to
ships.
so these are all
Okay.
man-made reefs that are made from sunken ships. And if you go to the next photo, because
Wow.
I couldn't actually find one of the Comanche. If you go to the next photo, this is a New York City subway car that has been sunk around there to join the Comanche Reef.
Wow.
Cool. There's
Yeah.
How did that get
fishies
out
getting
there?
off.
Actually, you can go and you can see there are like tankers. What are those ships called that like
But
have all
how
the
oh,
boxes
the
on them?
tank. Yeah.
Shipping containers.
Yeah, shipping container ships. So they'll go out and
Which
they'll like push it out.
I'm gonna do an episode on shipping
Oh, they
containers.
just threw them out there to
Very soon.
dispose of them.
Yeah, so it's not even to
Okay.
dispose. They do this on purpose to create these reefs. So it's a way of trying to bring back the ecosystem. I mean, that would be a good one for us to touch on sometime as well, because there's a lot of like back and forth of whether or not this is good because the metal's going in the water, and is it really trash? Is it not trash? You're trying to build these reefs. You're trying to have all of that.
Right.
So,
Things feed off
anyways,
the iron. And
Well,
okay.
and personally, Lindsay, you were here when you were here visiting, but Chantal
you were
knows
here
this.
when you were here.
I was. Thank you, Megan.
Stop infecting me with your weird verbal thing. There's
not work.
there's some
Contagious.
there's some old ship. I don't know what kind of ship it is, but it's a big long ship, and they're using it as like a wave break. What's it called? Breakwater. What's that thing called?
I-
It's on a reef. It's like they do it to protect harbors.
Oh, yeah. You're
break
for
wall?
breaker wall or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
So they have a ship, and it's not sunk; it's above water, but it is on top of rocks, wedged in, and it's used to help so that if waves come, it doesn't go into the harbor. So I mean, that's another way of using a ship that is, I guess, decommissioned, but it's still being effective. But it's not sunk, so maybe that's different.
Yeah.
It's not
Well, I
actually
mean,
submerged.
part of it would still be in the water, though, right?
We should
Yeah,
go
I guess.
sometime, girls trip to is it the
So
Queen
many girls trips.
Mary?
Girls trip
where
number
Emma and Christine
771.
Yeah,
did
I've
their
heard of that.
paranormal.
I don't know anything about the Queen Mary. If someone wants to cover it, Lindsay.
I think
I think it's on the list.
on my list.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But
I know,
it
like
was something that
Em's been there a bunch of times, I think.
right when I went to their live show 2-ish years ago. That's what they covered. It was really cool.
Cool.
Mhm.
Girls trip, yeah, 771. Chantal said.
Yeah, we'll get there. So divers and sailors to the area have actually witnessed unexplained floating red lights in that area, and they say that they resemble the ones that were on the life jackets of those that were floating in the oily water during the World War II attack.
Very, very
So there's probably still some like connections to it as well from all of that. But
To see a light underwater, no bueno.
or even
Not
like on
interested.
top, I'm like aliens for sure.
But you know what? But on top, I would think like little speedboat or a buoy. That would
Mm.
make more sense. If I'm like diving underwater, and also, why are you diving at night? Like, get another hobby that's so dangerous. It's so scary.
Have you? I don't know. I would want to do
Yeah.
I know you would.
I've
'Cause you're the
seen
one
some
weird one.
really cool
I know.
stuff.
Meg and I will dive during the
Will you guys be on
morning
the boat to make sure that
hours.
I come back?
Obviously. And
Yes,
we're
we'll be
gonna have
sipping margaritas, waiting for your return.
Okay.
and we're
Wishing
gonna
the
have one on
best.
ice
Okay.
for you, waiting for you in a sandwich, cucumber
Right.
sandwich cut into
Please
quarters.
don't get stuck because I would have to save you, but I would not be happy about it.
We also
Alright.
can't afford the Airbnb unless there's 3 of us paying for it.
Right. So please don't get stuck. Thank you.
Megan would be
Just,
down
like,
there looking for me.
logistically.
She's like, I can't afford this, you stupid bitch.
Don't know your bank password. Get out.
She didn't
It's
put
like-
my thumbprint in her phone.
Like I suggested.
Yes, leave your banking app open on the boat. before
Okay,
you
okay,
dive,
there we go.
please. Thank you.
Okay.
It's for safety.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Hmm.
Okay. So the last one that we're going to talk about today is the Chuk Lagoon. It's Micronesia, Central Pacific. So this is known as the largest underwater war graveyard.
Whoa, that's ominous.
Yeah, so this story is pretty fucked up, actually. It'd be interesting to get more in depth. Obviously, I'm going to be very short and sweet and concise with this one, but the area here was used during World War II as a naval base by the Japanese. But Operation Hailstorm wiped this area out.
Okay, that name sounds really cool though.
I know it is. But you'll
Like,
see
I
why
like
it's
Cool
that.
name for an operation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
seems like it worked, maybe.
it did.
Shit.
So, on February 17th, 1944, there was a surprise attack by the U.S. on the Japanese military. Five fleet carriers, 4 light carriers, which I didn't go into what these are. If we cover this, we will. With support ships and around 500 aircrafts descended on the islands in a surprise attack. The week before this attack, the Japanese military had moved more ships to this base, meaning there was about 275 Japanese aircrafts and 44 ships that sunk that day.
That's a freaking lot, man.
Reportedly, there was about 400 Japanese men who died in just one of the ships alone because they were trapped in the cargo hold.
Oh, fuck, that's sad.
More than
Yeah, like, yeah, that's really sad.
4,500 people died in Operation Hailstorm.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
I got like chills right now.
Oh my
So-
I think
God,
like
that's so
I think when
many
it comes to like
people.
that many people, it's in like during war, it's easy to kind of just dismiss almost like because your brain doesn't comprehend. It's almost
Mhm,
harder to
yeah.
hear like a story of one person because you can empathize more. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
still hearing that number, these were like probably really young men,
Yeah.
and their parents lost them or their families.
Yeah. It's awful.
Like,
Well, it's-
and I mean, that's like a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
that's
area is just teeming with wrecks to discover underwater. And it is not uncommon to see skeletons among the fish and coral.
Still,
What? Still? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
find that insane because
I think it would
think
depend
how
on where exactly they were and how, like, if they were preserved
Yeah.
in certain ways, or
Like
it might not be.
saltwater,
It's probably
I
not
thought.
full skeletons. I think it's more like pieces. It's not uncommon to see. So
Okay.
Like
I mean, to your other episode too, certain like water like conditions could make
could preserve,
preservation
and some can make it
possible.
worse.
Right. Right.
So it is believed that since most of these people died underwater, their souls would never be able to find a final resting place. In fact, I
I
think we
hope that's
discussed.
not
I think we
true.
talked about that before when I was talking about certain mermaids. The is it the Nino? It's
Which
the
is the
Japanese.
Japanese-
Yeah, they believe that
Yeah.
it's like lost souls who they can't ever leave once they've been drowned. So
Oh, and then isn't that where if like one washes up on its shore, it's like war for 7
war,
years?
calamity, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So the natives to the area, the Chuks,
Mhm.
were already being decimated when the Japanese moved in there, and they got rid of a lot of their homes to build this military base. And after this attack, they were starved out along with the rest of the Japanese who survived the attack.
So no one's a good guy, really.
No.
Yeah.
So as many of the Chuks lost their life, for a war that they did not create, it is also said that they cursed the place and the wreckage itself.
I would too, honestly.
Mhm.
yeah.
So divers often state that they can hear engines roaring, disembodied voices, and screaming. And I found this supposed firsthand experience from a podcast called Scared to Death. I don't know if either of you guys have.
Wait,
I
that sounds
haven't
so familiar.
I haven't listened to it, but
So they were doing an episode
up my
where people,
alley.
Yeah. They were doing an episode, I believe, where people wrote in about their experiences. Oh, sorry, that was a good one. That was
Sexy.
That was just coming. I didn't even have time to mute.
Let it out.
That was good. So
Proud of you. Good.
Her story. Okay. She went on there. So this woman, she goes by Maggie in the story, went to this site to dive, and she was more of an adventurer, and throughout her life she always wanted to be somebody that was able to discover something new. So she kind of went to the site. So she went to the site with like the intention of, I need to find something. She discovered diving from an ex-boyfriend, as she had never done it before. She was more of a traveler, and then she just fell in love with diving afterwards. And she had been to a lot of different dive sites. So she was on this guided tour. The tour guide's name was Oliver, and a small group. So it was the one tour guide, Maggie, and 4 other people. So she set off and grouped up with 2 others. I think it was Liliana and Oscar.
How are you remembering all of his names?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's
wow.
So
I know, very impressed.
Some weird.
But at the same
stuff.
time, Eric can't somehow remembers every single name from the entire Lord of the Rings and all the other books.
Okay, that is impressive.
Like, I know. He was telling me.
I remember the characters
like the whole.
And I've seen Lord of the Rings
of Power right now, and he goes in. He's read the Silmarillion, which is like an encyclopedia about Lord of the Rings, and he digested it. So anyway, my husband skipped 2 grades, and this is why
it's all
the proofs in the pudding.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, you can brag. Go for it. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a brag? I don't know. It's just crazy that he knows all that.
in this safe space, it's a brag.
It's a brag. Yeah. He's very smart.
What's it called? An explain a brag?
Yes. You better watch that, or I'm going to give you a CompuSalt.
Yeah. Okay, so some weird stuff happened leading up to it. One guy, the Oscar guy that she teamed up with, didn't seem to be as advanced as he said he was to be going to this type of dive, but she kind of just let it go, and she was like, I'm going to enjoy my time. Like, I spent money on this. We only have a certain amount of time, certain amount of oxygen. I'm going to go and just do me. So at one point, Oscar was digging for a coin in the water, and he actually cut his hand on something, but they couldn't figure out what it was. It was kind of odd that it happened. And he just, they stopped the bleeding. They put the glove over it and carried on.
Is this underwater?
Underwater. Yeah. They're now in the water.
Yeah.
So you can go through the next couple. The next photo is an underwater tank there. So, and this is like one of the sites.
Just a tad rusty.
Just a little bit. Just a little barnacle enriched. Yeah, the next photo is also good. The
very creepy.
Yeah. Actually, keep it there.
They're like
that'll relate to the story.
For anyone listening, we have some underwater gas masks that are
apparently
this been down here
just teeming with this type of stuff. They said you can find shells from guns, you can find bombs that never went off, you can find it has everything.
It's interesting how this looks like it's almost like perfectly placed here.
I know.
It's obviously been here for a long time, but
it's like a movie or like a video
very
game
eerie.
Very eerie.
Right.
Yeah. So he was digging, he cut his hand, it's bleeding, blah, blah, blah. They keep going.
Yeah.
When they continued further on, at one point, they saw a tank. So like we saw before in the distance. When I first read it, I thought like an air tank, but obviously it's a war tank. Suddenly.
Easy to mistake.
Easy
they're
mistake.
divers. So
suddenly, she said her breath was taken away. She saw a pale hand reaching out of one of the holes, groping and feeling in the water, almost as if it could sense something passing by or swimming by, and it was trying to reach for it. She wanted to let out a scream, but when she looked back again with her underwater binoculars that she had, she noticed that there was a starfish nearby the hole. And so she just kind of chalked it up to that. It's just Patrick. He's fine. My eyes are playing
Patrick the
tricks on me.
starfish.
Patrick. He had little shorts on and everything was weird. So no matter how sure she was of what she had just seen a moment before, she was like, it was just a starfish. I'm good. So she looks back to the people, Liliana and Oscar, that she was supposed to be diving with, and they were nowhere to be seen, which is
Oh.
not really cool considering that you shouldn't leave the people that you're diving with.
I
And
thought
you're
she
always
left
supposed to have a
them.
buddy. Well, no, she had stopped a little bit earlier and like they kept
Okay.
swimming. They didn't, she was trying to look at this tank and they just kept swimming. So she tries to swim further in their direction, going to find them. And the next part of the story, I'm going to use mostly verbatim. I cut it a couple of parts where it's just like I don't need to, but just she writes it in such a way that I just don't think you're going to be able, I was able to summarize it
Yeah.
effectively.
Well, and it's her story, so she,
Yeah.
she's telling it best, I guess.
Yeah. So I got to a few feet in front of the tank and breathed a sigh of relief. Even though I couldn't see Liliana or Oscar, I saw from the column of bubbles behind the tank that they were just gone around the back. And then something compelled me to peer over the edge of the reef. My eyes followed the drop of about 100 feet into a graveyard of ships. Their craggy seaweed covered surfaces loomed ominously. A never ending stretch of wreckage, some identifiable as planes and others simply cratered metal stretching off into the distance until everything faded into murky darkness. I peered back at the tank. I then had the idea to turn on my flashlight to get their attention, but nothing happened. Even as I kept waving it around, the bubbles moved slightly to the left, and I wondered if they found something fascinating or were simply taking a break. A tank was cool, but the graveyard over the edge was calling to me. I could see the trails of the bubbles there too. Maybe the others had gone down already. From my perspective above it all, the area held a strange beauty. It looked like something half living, half dead. As I descended, my breath started to catch in my chest. Jagged edges of metal gleamed in the dim light, and tangles of cables seemed to reach out like cold, dead fingers. It was terrifying, tragic, tremendous. I was feeling so many different emotions as I began to explore the awe inspiring sight. Some of the planes had been reduced to skeletons of themselves, propped up by decaying metal beams. A thick scum of barnacles grew over everything, like the ocean had claimed it all for itself. I swam to the top of the ship's funnel. I figured it would offer me a good vantage point to survey the hull below. A hole in the hull opened like a vast, dark cave, and out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw bubbles drifting up to the surface. Was something or someone in there? Slowly, I lowered myself down into the hole, and then I thought of something else I'd seen, that starfish, the thing I thought was a hand, but told myself absolutely couldn't be. But now that I was inside one of the wrecks, I noticed that there was absolutely no animal life to speak of. Inside these wrecks, it was almost completely barren except for a thin scum of coral and some seaweed. There was nothing else, almost like the fish knew to stay away from it. Then I noticed in the hole that there was still bubbles, a few wrecks away floating up, and this reassured me that others were diving nearby. If anything happened, they'd be able to help. I sank deeper into the massive underwater grave. The ship was tilted on its side, and the hole opened into a cavernous area. What would have probably been 3 floors had now rotted into one continuous space. It was massive. I could make out a knot of pipes and equipment piled on the ground like a junkyard. I could dimly make out gas masks, which were terrifying and thrilling, the empty eyes just peering out at nothing. A set of rotting stairs went down further into the engine room and machine shop. I thought I'd check it out and then head back up. As I descended, I got the sense of something swishing back and forth in the water behind me. A shadow passed each time, but every time I turned to look, there was nothing. A fish, I told myself, or maybe many. Maybe they'd been feeding and they decided to come back home. Swishing, always just out of my line of sight. Then another sound surfaced coming from deeper in the room. The unmistakable sound of an engine turning over and starting up. That was impossible, I thought. Maybe I was hearing a boat from up top, but the sound was growing in intensity. I was at least 100 feet below the surface, and sound didn't carry like that. I swam forward, kicking, and still as the engine and sound grew louder, I heard it again, growing in intensity. Swish, swish, swish. Fish don't swim like that. Now I was worried that it was something. A shark? Was it following me? Though I couldn't see it because every time I turned around, whatever it was faded into the shadows. I felt the need to swim forward towards the engine sound. Whatever was following me was something else. I knew that if I bumped into anything, dislodged anything, I could end up cutting myself badly or getting stuck somehow. My legs were burning. I vaulted myself forward, trying my hardest not to touch anything, and that was when I felt something slide across my body, or multiple somethings. There was something and nothing grabbing at me through the water, and then I reached the tiny room in the back. I turned around again, and nothing was there. The swishing had stopped. Even the humming, which had been so loud, roaring in my ears, had stopped. Bam! Something tightened around my neck, pulling my throat and pulling me back until my head banged against the side of the ship. A flurry of bubbles floated up, too many bubbles to just be mine. Whatever had grabbed me was breathing. Now, through the corner of my eye, I could see a group of ghostly hands floating out and grabbing me and clutching my arms, faces flickering in and out of the dark. So many faces twisted in anger, and their eyes were black with desperation. A mass of ghosts seemingly trapped, residents of this doomed ghost fleet. As the hands tightened around my throat, the regulator got dislodged in the struggle. I watched it float away, still tethered to my body, but just out of reach. I fought to move forward. For every hand I beat back, there was another one, ghostly white, reaching out for me. There was a drumming on the ship's side too, as though thousands of bodies were beating the hull, moaning and clamoring to get out before they died suddenly. Thankfully, I felt myself surge up. Not looking back, I swam and swam, feeling my scuba suit rip a bit and as I slid through the jagged hole and out of the ship. But I didn't care. I had a minute or two before I'd pass out. When I got to the surface, I took a full, deep, gasping breath as though I'd been starved for air for years. My eyes burned with salt water, and my entire body was humming like a live wire. I bobbed in the water as the boat pulled up beside me. All the others were on the boat. They'd been on board for about 20 minutes. What about the bubbles I'd seen coming out of the wrecks? Oliver was looking at me in concern. You all right, Maggie? Nitrogen kicking your ass a bit, perhaps? I spent the rest of the trip on shore, stating I was monitoring myself for the bends. One thing in particular that was making it hard for me to chalk up what had happened to me as nitrogen narcosis. At the end of the first day, we were piling into the car, ready to be whisked back to the hotel. Understandably, everybody was pretty pooped. Everyone except Oscar. He looked like he was dealing with a lot more than fatigue. The hand he had mysteriously cut on something was now white and looking badly infected, looking like it was rotting, like he had been underwater for ages. Through Facebook, I heard later that he had died 3 months later after this. Some mysterious illness eating away at his body until he became a corpse. I wondered, did the Ghost Fleet Chuk Lagoon claim another victim? So,
damn,
very
whether that is a sensationalized story or not, there have been a lot of paranormal reports at this area. Like she said, the banging, the ghostly hands, all of that kind of stuff. So
it sounds like a lot of like tourism happens here though for diving, or is it just like private?
Yeah, so I think it's one of the ones that you can go on the PADI website and see
okay.
as well. And like there's guided tours that happen. It's a very well-known one. There's a lot of things to see there. So it's kind of like probably a diver's treasure trove or dream. But
not my dream.
that was
no,
just a little bit way of making diving a bit spookier for you guys.
Well, mission accomplished.
It was very spooky, but now it's like a next level thing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. I must rain down some of these things, but
yeah, I was
wow.
I was like, okay, I really wanted to do this. And now I'm like, I don't know. Do I go with a, paranormal?
Well, just know that if you want to kind of go off by yourself, Lindsay and I would have already chartered a smaller ship to go with the other ship, and we're going to be on top of you 24/7.
Yeah, so, we're right above your head.
If I hear an engine roaring or weird,
we won't leave without you.
Weird shadows, I'll be like, it's just that.
And we're going to get those fancy like Hollywood snorkel masks where you can like just fully speak English, and it's like there's a calm and can hear you. We're going to figure it out.
Perfect. So, I mean, hearing the story, obviously there is a chance that there was some nitrogen narcosis if she was about 100 feet down. I think if I remember, I mean, typically 130 feet is the furthest that you want to go on a regular tank of air. Otherwise, you want to be on that trimixter. But I think that they said that it can kick in as quickly as, was it 40 feet, if I remember correctly? Or was it 85? Either way. So there is a chance that, yes, maybe she was hallucinating some things as well. There's also a chance this wasn't a real story and somebody was just like, hey, I'm going to make a really cool story.
I'm going to choose to believe. And I wonder if, like, you know, when like there's always these stories when someone is like near death or like extremely feverish. It's almost like the veil gets thin.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it was a combination of all those things. Like you're in this place that has a lot of human energy that was
Mm-hmm.
expelled. And then maybe there was a little bit of like maybe your oxygen was a little bit low and it kind of allowed her to experience things that normally you wouldn't if you were firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
But I mean, either way, just really cool story.
All three were very chilling. We had the first ship where people were just like strapped to their beds, and then the Comanche that picked up, I know just the one wreck alone, had like 500 passengers and like over 100 crew that died that I had to rescue, and obviously many died there. And then you have this, 4,000 probably young men,
4,500 people,
4,500. So all those energies and spirit, like whether or not that last story was true or not, but like you said, it could be the nitrogen, narcosis. Yeah, it could have.
If we're gonna try
scientific explanation, right? But still, you have all these energies and all these tragedies that have happened for each story. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's energies there. And
I've always said I'm a very skeptic believer, and I don't want to discredit someone. There could have been a lot of other things going on, but I mean, if it's true, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, that was a really cool.
So that's it.
A really cool compilation of stories, and
three ghost stories.
I stand by my decision to never dive. So thank you.
I'm gonna dive into pools.
That's fair.
That's about it. And I'll be with Megan.
I'm gonna dive into a plate of fries.
I actually would love to go.
I'm gonna dive into this margarita.
I could see myself diving if it was, with professionals, in a more controlled environment, like, it's daytime and
I'm just gonna snorkel. I'll just put
snorkeling.
My face in.
Snorkeling is ideal.
Well, I mean, you can still see a lot of really cool stuff when you're snorkeling. Like that's obviously all that I know how to do, and I've always had amazing times being in Mexico, Cuba, when I was doing it in Australia, all these places, like you still see so many cool things just doing that. So
honestly, our third episode for the Blue Hole scared me even more. The fact how easy it is if you're not doing it in the right circumstances, it can be deadly very quickly.
Oh, just because how confused they got so quickly.
Like that one gentleman who just pretty much hit the water, and within a few seconds it was all over.
Yeah,
that was so scary.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I'm glad that in this story there were no modern lives taken just by adventuring. It's still very sad that holy shit, like almost 6,000 people in these 3 stories died.
Like as much
and
as
that was just the one ship for the Comanche. They hadn't it was in war and like other ships.
Oh, if you go to the Wikipedia page on that ship, it's like amazing all the stuff they break down, everything that it kind of like went through and what it did. So it was really cool. Had to burp again, sorry. So it's I don't know, something about this. So I would rather be haunted in my own house than I would underwater, I think. Like, because it's almost so much you're like, is it a shark? Is it a predator?
I would rather be haunted underwater where I can leave.
Maybe not my own house.
My safety of my home.
Sorry, you're right. Maybe not my own house. I would rather be haunted in a hotel room than I would be underwater.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere.
But the ghost doesn't come home with you. That I have to get that in writing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I need to bring a Ouija board just so we can say goodbye and be like, you're staying here. I'm going home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just so much sage. Just light the whole room on fire with sage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Well, that was. I feel bummed, but like I'm interested.
I feel
I'm
I'm sad,
bummed.
But I've also learned something, and
well, it's you know what? It's just another Halloween series here. So it's we're just creeping you out and bumming you out this month. That's what we're doing.
Yes. Well, next week I have the honors of doing our official Halloween episode.
Well,
so excited.
And we're definitely not going to be wearing costumes, right?
No, not at all. You should definitely not watch the YouTube.
We don't have the time for that.
No.
Yes.
I just hate Halloween. I know. I say that all the time. But.
Right. I know.
She says with her bats on the wall behind her.
Right. Which is the only like one of 10,000 decorations. She really has.
Yeah, you can't see the rest because they're all on the walls. But
she also has
have
pillows that
decorations
live
out there
constantly
in the living room.
Yes. Well, maybe what we'll do as we get closer to Halloween, we'll all post our decorations.
Halloween
and be
decoration.
like, show us your
Yes.
decorations.
Yes, put on our
also-
Instagram.
and I know that there's different aesthetics, and I'm sure you've all seen like on Instagram, you'll get like, which Halloween aesthetic are you? And I'm mostly all of them, except for the one where it's all like extremely 1990s, like glow stick. Like I like that, but that's not my go-to. Oh, Black Kitty. There's a Black Kitty on the camera.
Yeah, when you have a black
Halloween
cat, you're
kitty.
always in Halloween fashion.
Yeah, my cat is mostly white, so she's giving us like ghosty energy, but yeah.
Well,
So
when Chantal and I lived together, I had an orange cat, R.I.P. Honey, and
honey.
Chantal had the black
It
cat,
matched.
Samus, and together they made the perfect Halloween duo.
Yes, even though they hated wearing their
I was
little
gonna say,
Halloween colors.
But if they had
Right.
cuddled once, that would have been a great photo op.
No, the closest that we have is when Samus was a little tiny kitten and she's on one end of Lindsay's bed and Honey is on the
I have
other
a really
side of Lindsay's
cute
bed.
picture where Honey is sleeping peacefully on my bed and Samus is like crouching behind her. She's like, "Hello."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will post that photo.
I do love that one.
Yes, let's do that one. I love it.
All right. Well, everyone's gonna kick off and have a fun Friday night, and Lindsay's gonna go have tacos and margaritas. I'm gonna put a fucking fan on because it's so hot in here, and we're gonna keep binging the Menendez Brothers show.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, enjoy. And I love you all. Goodbye.
Love you all.
Happy
Bye, everyone.
Halloween.
Happy almost
Happy
Halloween.
almost Halloween.
It's Halloween for me all the time.
It's Halloween in
Sorry.
our hearts.
Right. People are actually next weekend will be the Halloween party at Chantal's, which I probably will not be at because I am in Chicago. But
Unless you guys give us enough Ko-Fi money.
Right. Get Lindsay to Toronto for the Halloween party.
Yeah.
I will make a new campaign. But happy Halloween to everyone listening all the time, 24/7.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, everyone. We love you. Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a moment to review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leaving us a like or comment really helps. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, please visit our coffee page at www.ko-fi.com/coastfiles. Email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.